Thank you so much for joining me live here. I really appreciate you all the time you join me when I come on here. Today, we're going to do something differently. We're going to answer some questions that members in our group have been asking, members in our Facebook group, and some comments they've been making. And so, pretty much, that's what we're doing. If today is the first time you're coming on here, please go ahead and hit on the subscribe button. Also, like the video and then share with your family and friends. You might be helping somebody. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And I'm praying that you have a good weekend as well as everything you're doing be successful. Now, the first question we have here is someone is asking, do such women still exist? The women that will say, I don't need your money, keep it, I'll be okay. And when someone asks this kind of a question, what do you think the answer should be? Especially if all you see around these days is women taking money and ignoring the men, or it's both ways. But since the question is about women, let's address women. Um, what my answer to this question is yes, there are so many women out there who will not take your money, not because they have too much, not because they are independent women, but just because they realize that money is not everything. If you take your time and during your dating experiences, you are asking women the questions, checking out what their plans for the future are, trying to find out if everything they have in their life is focused on the long-term goals versus immediate satisfaction, then you are definitely going to be able to find women who will not just take your money and leave you, or leave you because you're broke, you know. And so yeah, and there's been some other questions that have come up, like, now marriage and relationship is all about money. If you don't have money, then you're not going to get anybody. What I will say is money is part of the deal, but not everything. If you don't have money, imagine when you are renting a home, how are you going to pay? How are you going to eat? If you have children, how are you going to feed them? Clothing. You know, you need money for certain basic needs. However, money is not everything. And also, there are still women who exist who don't just depend on money or depend on what men have to offer. There are some who are looking for money to start a kind of a business. But because they don't have it, sometimes as soon as they meet men, they start asking. I'm not excusing women who are after money. There are some who are just genuinely gold diggers, and there are some who are genuinely homemakers who are not just in for your money, but sometimes communication, explanation, and how to come across or how to express their needs kind of tends to become like all they need is money. So when you are dating somebody or you plan on settling down with somebody, please ask questions. What is your long-term goal? Do you plan to start a business? Do you have something that you intend doing? That way you get to know that when they talk about money, it's not just about wanting what you have, but maybe they need money to take care of certain basic needs. And if you want some peace in your relationship, have your woman know about almost all the money you bring home. Plan a budget, excuse me. Kind of plan a budget. That way you know that, okay, this money is for the bills, this money is for the kids, school fees or clothing or whichever, and this money we're going to split. You will take this amount, I will keep this amount, and then when that happens, use it for whatever you want. No questions asked. It's necessary that as a man you give your wife, your spouse, your partner some money that she can use without any questions asked. And if your wife, your spouse, your partner knows that you have money and you're using it for something, usually they will not be asking questions. Why? Because they also have money that they are using or keeping for themselves. And this is when you understand each other. But if you want to do the 50-50, then it starts becoming a problem. So this is a simple tip that singles, married, you can do if you're not doing that already. Pretty much, you can divide your bills into three, or your monies into three. One is for paying bills, one is for maybe taking care of the home or saving something for emergencies, and then one is for both of you to keep and use without any questions asked. If you do that, you're going to enjoy somewhat a money free hassle struggling, arguing, fighting relationship where there's no money problems. So that is one tip and one question that I've answered. I hope it's helpful. If you have any questions, please go ahead and ask. And to this point, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, kindly go ahead and then hit on the subscribe button, and let's get this conversation going. Now, the next question that someone asked is, okay, so they addressed it as, dear men, what are the things that women put on that you don't like? So what are some of the things that when women put on you don't like? And as I read the comments, I kind of was laughing, not because it's funny, but in my head, wow, some things that we women do and think they're looking cool, they're looking their best for the man, turns to not really mean that way to men, right? And so some of the comments that the men were making was um, something like nails, fake nails or artificial nails, and some of the men were saying wigs, some were saying fake boobs, fake butts, all those things. Pretty much everything, most of the things that women do thinking they're trying to look good for their men or trying to look good for men. It also depends on the men who commented on this post, but I'm just addressing it so that to open up this conversation and let men know that it's not just women wanting to dress that way or look that way. Actually, some also talked about those who are wearing clothes that are exposing their chest, their boobs, and then those who are wearing short skirts, and as they walk they keep pulling them down. It was a description that a guy made. What I will say is, it's a challenge for, sometimes women think, or some women think, that that is how they can look good for men, especially if their parents never taught them as children a certain way, like dress a certain way so that you can be valued in a certain way. All they know is, okay, there's this model on TV, there's this superstar on TV, and this is how she dresses, these are her clothes, that's what she's wearing, and it looks really beautiful. I want to be like her, I want to look like her. So pretty much the role models that they are looking up to probably are dressing like that. That's one. Secondly, some women think that when they dress that certain way, it makes them look cuter and better, because usually, too, marketing, advertising, and all that has made it seem like you have to look a certain way to be termed beautiful. And so everybody is striving to do that. Nakedness, in my opinion, is ideally meant to be covered for you to look like an elegant woman, a decent lady. However, social media, and all those advertising agents have made it seem like nakedness is what you have to do to look pretty, right? And so you must know your values. You must know what works for you, and then choose those things. Just because you're going naked doesn't mean you're pretty, and just because you're fully covered doesn't mean you're pretty. Know your values. Know what is expected of you as a child of God. If you are a child of God and you believe in the Bible, what is your Bible telling you? What is your body meant to be? Your body is the temple of God. How are you handling it? Pretty much that's the question you must ask yourself. And that will also guide you as to how you're going to dress. So, and also, especially when it comes to wigs, most women have natural hair, and so sometimes they want, taking care of it takes way longer. If you have natural hair and you want it to grow, you can watch some YouTube videos and you will see how long it takes for the women who try to make natural hair videos. It takes quite a long time. So grabbing a wig and throwing it on your head is the easiest way. When you have time, sometimes myself, I take about 3 to 4 hours if I undo my hair and work on it because I have a natural hair, and that's my reason for probably for wearing wigs. Um, I'm not sure about everyone else, but and for some people, sometimes you just want to probably change your look, and so you might just do a wig. Um, so yeah, you just try to like people for who they are, what they are offering. The physicals are necessary, but not so necessary. However, always put this at the back of your mind that your body is the temple of God, and you want to handle it decently and appropriately, not overdoing. Some of the men also mentioned that some women put on too much makeup. They called it those who put brown dust. I think it was funny. They said the women who put brown dust on their face and they look like yellow or something like that. It's an interesting comment. However, I will also say leave people to be whom they want to be. If you have an advice, try and be friends with them. Be friends with them first, because if you're not someone's friend and you just jump in and you try to talk to them, they're going to be very unhappy with you. So if you have an advice that you want to give to someone or a lady, try and be friends with her, and then you can start advising or start giving your pieces of advice. That is the best way to go. But don't hate on people just because of what they are doing, how they look. They probably don't know any differently. And just because you don't like it also doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, So probably just if you have people around you that you can advise, please go ahead and do that, but don't hate on people pretty much, because people are very important. Yes. Now the next question or comment that someone has said was, it's a question actually. Why do most men leave a woman they love over very little things that their newfound love usually does worse, but they still go ahead and stay with that person? I think to this point, usually what happens is if you are in a relationship and you think some things are bad and you leave that relationship, unfortunately, it's very difficult. You leave that relationship to go get someone new. It's very difficult for you to go back to this old relationship. And usually that's pretty much what it is. I can't think of anything else. And so they stay with hell and they can't really do much about it. I know a man who has said to me back in the day he divorced his wife because of some things the lady was doing, only to go marry someone else, and it was even the things the other person was doing was worse. And he said to me, you know what? If I knew that this new person was going to do these things, which are really, really worse than what my ex-wife was doing, I would have definitely stayed with my ex-wife, because I'm not really benefiting. It's actually to my loss. And so usually I encourage people, have conversations, talk about things. Don't just say, this person is annoying me, I hate what they're doing, I've said it many times, they haven't listened, and so I'm going to divorce them. The problem is there's no perfect person out there. And so if you have something that you know that you've loved, that you've cherished for a very long time, hold on to it, keep it, work on it, have that conversation. Leaving doesn't solve problems, but sitting down and having grown up conversations is what solves problems. So that's the third question. Now, the fourth one that someone asked was, marriage is all about money. If you don't have money, don't go into it. Well, I think that is what most people make it out to look like, but there are most people who don't really worry too much about money. And I think in the first question, I did address it somehow. Um, there are people who are out there to just take money and leave. I've seen a couple of them or many of them, but there are people who are genuinely looking for um, relationships that last. And that is why my husband and I came up with finderseed.com, where anybody who wants to be on there is looking for a long-term relationship and not just looking for people to gold dig them and then leave. If you are looking for a long-term relationship, please check out finderseed.com. That's the name of our YouTube page right here. And sign up and find your soulmate. Pretty much that's what the name means. Take a seat, grab a seat, sit down, and then browse. And you're going to find some pretty, beautiful women as well as handsome men. So don't miss out on that opportunity. Now, the next question is, it goes for women. It says, what is the worst thing you've done to your man out of anger? Usually, when we are angry, we say so many unhealthy things, and it's very difficult to take them back or eat back our words. And so, the best advice that I will give is, if you are in a situation or in a relationship and at some point you feel angry, do your best to not say too much. The less you say, the better. And I always say this to my kids. Once they start telling lies, I'm like, you know what? The less you say, the better. Say less. Say less. I not just my kids. I say that to so many people. Once you know you start lying, tell that to yourself. You know what? I just don't have to say too much, because you will keep lying, and then you start thinking, what did I say to that one, and what did I say to this one? And it messes up the brain a lot. So instead of lying, maybe just smile, walk away, and when it's the right time, talk about it and fix things. But do your best to not say mean, angry things, regret it, and then go apologize. Sometimes the person might not be around long enough for you to keep doing that and keep on apologizing. They will be hurt and they're gonna leave you. So if you love somebody, if you really care about them, please hold your words, think about it before you release them, as you won't be able to eat your words again. All right, and so the next one, the sixth one is, what tribe or culture did your parents warn you not to marry into and you didn't listen but regretted later? Now, I think in most countries or most cultures, people are advised to either marry from your own culture, or they warn you never go marry in that culture, just because maybe somebody did something bad to them in that culture, or somebody's relationship did not work in that culture. And so they are advising you, don't go ever go marry in that. What I say to people is, just try it. If you think you found somebody that you really care about, prove to your parents or the people telling you this is not a good person to marry or a good culture. And how you get to know is, ask all your questions within your first 3 months. Let that be question asking. Don't just meet someone 1 week, 1 month and say you're in love and start spreading the word, and then you start realizing this person is not really whom you thought they were. Give yourself some time, at least 3 months. Hang out, go out, do things together. Then the person's real self is going to come out, so you'll get to decide whether you like them or not. Don't wait and brand everyone. Don't put everybody under some kind of an umbrella. Stereotyping is just not acceptable. So take your time, get to know the person. So instead of saying never go marry into the English clan, or um, the Nigerian tribe, or whatever it is, Akan, Ashanti, Ewe, Ga, whichever. Don't marry Canadians because they are this or that. I don't think it sits well with humans, it just hurts. So just leave people, do some investigation, do some work, and if you know people who are struggling with this, please kindly have them watch my videos, and I'm going to be addressing that. Also, if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask, and I'm going to also respond to that. Thank you all so much for watching. We have two more to go. Two more questions to go. If a man must have a good job, car, house, money, what must a woman have before they get married? Okay, and so with this one, what I'll say is, it just depends on the individual. There are some women who will say, I don't mind if he doesn't have a car. Love matters more. If he loves me, cares about me, we're going to go on public transportation until we settle down. We're going to put money together, and then we'll get one for ourselves. The challenge usually comes in when you are able to help the person. They purchase the car, and then one person starts not being nice. Either they start going after other women or going after other men because they think they've arrived. And so how you get to know all these things is um, the initial warning signs that you see in the relationship. Don't overlook them. Address everything, every situation that comes up. Don't say, oh, he was probably just having a bad day. Bad days do occur. Yes, we all do have bad days every now and then, but you still want to address issues as they arise. That way, you don't have any surprises down the line. Always talk about things and don't leave them to sit and assume, because by the time you want to leave, it will be just late. Now, the last one is, what do you call a woman living with a man who hasn't paid the bride price or formalized the relationship? And I think this is happening a lot sometimes. And the responses that came, some were saying it's just for convenience sake. Some were saying ashawo is like a prostitute, I think. Yeah. And some were saying partnership, friendship, relationship, stuff like that. But the truth about living together, if you haven't been formalized as a woman, you lose more. Men don't care. They can come, hang with you, do whatever. The next minute, if they leave you, they're just going to jump out there and take another lady. Whether it works or not, they will keep going. So as a woman, if a man wants you to move in with them, then you tell them, okay, so what's in for me? Ask them. They either go home, talk to your parents, pay whatever they have to pay. If your culture says they have to pay something, you need an engagement or a whatever marriage, it has to be formalized. Don't sell yourself short. You are very important in God's eyes. You are a beautiful creation. Don't feel stranded. Don't feel desperate. Don't just want to jump into someone's arm only because they've opened it to you. Let them do what they have to do. Let men treat you well. Once that they get to know how you value yourself, they are also going to be able to show you the respect right from the beginning of your relationship until the end of your relationship. And so let's all help each other, support each other, and we'll be doing more of these questions answered types of conversations. That way we can answer and address most of these concerns that come up. I would appreciate if all of you can subscribe to my channel and also share the video if you like it. If you don't like it, it makes me very sad, but that's okay. Yeah, and so please go ahead and share the video, and I will be seeing you again in my next one. Same time, same place, and same space. Take care and enjoy your weekend. Bye for now.